Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we are slowly coming out of the off season. We're still kind of in the thick of it, but we are at the end of August, or almost the end of August, and we're making our way through. We're almost in September, and by the time September hits, usually we start getting some actual news, some rumors back. Things start circulating again. We're already starting to see a couple of them. So, with all that said, we have pretty much just one thing we're doing this entire episode. That's going to be the official Stick 'em Up, the SEU 2025-26 season guide. This is where you can listen to find out everything that is going on in the league that you have to look forward to, things to keep an eye on, and pretty much we're going to see what we think about each of those. I guess we do have a little bit of news before we get to that, but that's going to be quick news, right?
Yeah, it'll be quick news. The biggest news is we're back. Obviously, no episodes last week. Perfect storm of everything that kind of kept us busy and occupied and kind of never gave us the right time to kind of sit down and record. And I think it kind of worked out because there wasn't really much going on around the league. And like you mentioned, as of this moment, end of August, we've got this episode here. We've got something coming later this week on the usual Friday. And then by then, Tuesday next week, we're into September, and the season's going to start to ramp up there. We're going to have lots of stuff to talk about there. So basically, I think it's pretty safe to say at this point now we have officially survived what might go down as the most boring offseason in NHL history. There's a lot of rumors of some big stuff happening, all this crazy stuff, and we got nothing. So we survived. We're here now. And we can jump into it with the little bits of news that has come out in the last week and a half at this point now. Do you want to kick us off with it?
Yeah, so honestly, we got two of them here that are decent news, especially for the fan bases of these teams. The Chicago Blackhawks extended Frank Nazar to a 7-year deal at $6.6 million per. I mean, that's
a great deal.
That's a great deal. Especially the way he trended at the end of last season. It looked fantastic. And with the cap going up, obviously, almost as much as this cap hit per season for a couple of years, it sounds like. So, there might be some really good third line players making this kind of money in the next couple of years. And they got him locked up long term at this cap hit. And he might, I wouldn't say he's the kind of guy that's stapled to Bedard, but for the foreseeable future, until you get a guy that pushes him out of that spot, I think he's playing with Bedard the most.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. This year might not. They might want him as that second line center to, have more talent around the team as they slowly try to crawl out of the basement. But with the addition of Anton Frundell, who I think there's a very good chance might be their second line center of the future. Frank Nazar is a guy that could be riding shotgun with Bedard for the entire duration of this contract. And so, he's locked up there for eight years total. Can definitely make this 6.6 look like an absolute steal for the Hawks. So great move for Chicago to lock this guy up before he takes off, which could be as early as this upcoming season.
Yeah, 100%. And the second one, we got another RFA signing. This one out of Minnesota, Marco Rossi, kind of a bridge deal here for 3 more years at $5 million per.
I don't think Rossi's there by the end of the deal.
Yeah, I don't know if he's there by the end of this year, honestly.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a weird deal from all sides to me, just because it was made very apparent that Minnesota, despite this guy being good, he's young, he just had 60 points. He produced a decent bit in the playoffs despite a reduced role, and they just don't really want him. And
they just don't like because he's undersized.
Yeah, and this isn't a ton of money for him. Obviously, it's the biggest deal he's gotten yet, and good for him for sure. But I believe he is still an RFA at the end of this deal. This doesn't take him to UFA. And that's
not 100% sure. I don't know. I can't say for sure whether
that doesn't make sense to me why he would do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He is an RFA at the end of it. He'll be 26 at that time and still an RFA. If he, he either should have fought for more money during this time or that extra year so he could be a UFA at the end. Or
so Minnesota wasn't gonna pay him more. It just came down to they don't value him what us as fans value and see out of him, because again they the biggest thing for them is they look up and say undersized forward, and from what it sounds like there was a lot of interest in teams going and potentially offer sheeting him, but what it came down to is the teams that could afford Rossi at that asking price of 7 to 8 mil, you'd have to give up a first round pick. And the teams that have the money and the first round picks and second or third or whatnot to make it work are kind of more teams near the bottom of the league or bubble teams. And with this upcoming year and Gavin McKenna going first overall, teams weren't willing to risk giving up an unprotected first on the off chance that hey, maybe the season goes bad for them, kind of like a Nashville, and you end up with the first overall pick, and it's like, damn, we gave away Gavin McKenna for Marco Rossi. So it kind of scared away teams. I think Rossi more than anything knows, hey, I'm getting 15 mil here for 3 years, and when I'm an RFA at the end of it, I'm probably not going to be in Minnesota anyways, so I'll be in a better situation and can probably cash in for a long-term deal and a much bigger payday in those 3 years. So
yeah,
because I truly don't think he'll be in Minnesota by the end.
No, I don't think he'll be there by the end of this year, let alone the end of the contract. I would be shocked if they kept him long term.
Yeah, so I think that's why he's fine with being an RFA at the end of the deal, because he'll be out of Minnesota and probably in a better situation.
You just don't want to get hit with kind of what almost like Nikolai Ehlers had to deal with in Winnipeg. Constantly everyone's like, this is a pretty damn good player, and he's playing second line, every once in a while third line minutes, and he's like one of their top 3 or 4 forwards. It always just fell off. But you know what? Either way, he got some money, and he's probably getting moved regardless. So it'll be interesting to see what they try and target in return for a guy like him. Just looking here, I wanted to see what the offer sheet compensation would have been for some of that stuff. I don't know if you've ever used the offer sheet page, the offer sheet calculator page on Cap Wages. This is incredible. I've never opened this page before.
It's pretty magnificent.
It shows every single compensation range, and it shows every team that meets each individual requirement. So like you can be like, oh, can my team offer sheet a guy at 7 mil? You can look in that range and look and see if your team's logo's there. I've never seen this page. It's great. It makes it a lot easier to armchair GM like this.
Yeah.
I kind of thought Detroit was going to take a run at him. I don't
but again,
really know why.
Detroit, do you give up an unprotected first? I mean, I think Rossi could be a great fit there, but again, it's teams are scared to give up that.
Is Yzerman risking much for that though? Like, I feel like his job's kind of already a little sketchy right now. I feel like if he misses the playoffs regardless, he might be out. So you kind of want to,
potentially,
make that move, but it's hard to say.
But you also don't want to go down as one of the biggest bozos of all time if you're getting fired, right?
Yeah, true. Well, I don't know if I call you the biggest bozo for giving up a first and then it goes from 9th to first overall. That's just incredibly unlucky. If the team finished bottom 5, then you'd look like a bozo.
I still would. If you're giving up an unprotected first, though, you're like doing everything you can to make, like, you're giving up your next, couple first round picks to ensure that you're in the playoffs and you're back in the fight. I think Rossi definitely does make a lot of sense for a Detroit. Maybe they can strike a deal with Minnesota, and maybe give up a first the following year or something, and
or
hold
a
on
first
to your assets for the season
top
or
3 protected. Just give yourself a
I guess you can add some protection on it if you're making a trade, but if you're offer sheeting, that's it. There's no conditions or anything. It's just straight up.
It's no strings attached, which I think is a part of the reason as well why we don't see offer sheets as much. We thought we were going to get a ton this offseason. It's really too bad we didn't.
None. And what do we got for the last? There's one more thing, wasn't there?
Oh, yes. And I believe it was announced either earlier today or yesterday, but Tyson Barrie retired, called it a career. And
yes,
man, did he have a good one. Like I believe we've talked about it before, how he's one of the luckiest players in the league over the past decade for just coming in and playing with incredible talent nonstop. Like just playing with the Avalanche for years, getting to play with McKinnon, going to the Leafs, playing with Austin Matthews and Marner, going to the Oilers, playing with McDavid, Draisaitl, went to the Preds for a bit, played with Forsberg and Yossi, and then last season he played 13 games with the Flames. So
yeah,
that's
a very underrated career too. One of the, during his prime, one of the better offensive defensemen in the league at the time, and
over 500 points as a defenseman.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty damn good for a career of 822 games. Like he didn't play a ton either. Like he was well over a half point per game as a defenseman.
Yeah, but that is all the news around the league over the last week and a half, and now we can officially dive into our 2025-26 Stick 'em Up season guide. So do you want to kick us off with the first topic here?
So for the first topic, one of the things is that, and this one covers a lot of things, but the general gist of it is this is going to be the last season in the NHL where this current CBA, this collective bargaining agreement, is in effect because they signed the new one that takes place next offseason. So this is the final season for teams in the NHL to do things like, the way the current LTIR loophole in the playoffs works. This is the last year teams can, at least in this iteration, take advantage of that. So we might see a lot of that come trade deadline or January. This is the last year that they can sign 8-year deals, 8-year extensions for players as well. So I definitely think we'll see a good amount of those once a couple of the bigger names sign. There's all those different things that I think we're going to probably see a couple more of than we normally do because this is their last chance at it.
Well, then, the third topic we're going to get into here. Some of the names on there. It's probably going to be quite a few 8-year deals rolling out from that.
Yeah, I would definitely imagine so.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how teams tried to navigate this and how much they can kind of squeeze out of, the final year of this CBA before the next one kicks in. Because, yeah, like you said, this is the last year that they can pull off some of these things. And, once next offseason hits, these things won't be allowed. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how many teams and which teams really go all in and try and, again, just squeeze as much out of this as they can. So that is a very big thing to look at going into this year.
Yeah. And we've been pretty vocal that we think, or at least think the league should do something about Carolina's contract with Jackson Blake with the deferred money for an 8-year deal. So far, they haven't done anything. I wouldn't really expect them to in the offseason. I'm sure Bettman's on a beach somewhere, but, they're legally, they can still make those contracts until this kicks in as well. So maybe if nothing happens from that one, maybe we see a bunch of those come out through the next year. I imagine that they will if the NHL doesn't nip this in the bud. So they're probably going to want to do that sooner than later, but maybe they don't, and there's just a whole bunch of deferred contracts signed in that one off season, and we're just always, for the next few decades, we're looking back at that one off season as, man, could you believe that was allowed? That was crazy. Could happen.
Yeah, it's the door is definitely open for that. Next item here going into next season, the Dynasty, the Florida Panthers. Well, this is actually now the third time in the last decade that we're talking about this.
Crazy.
Actually, I mean, could say 4 even, actually, including
you could argue
Kings.
You could argue 4. Yeah. But, I thought you were talking about the Blackhawks being involved in that.
The Blackhawks were absolutely a dynasty there. But the LA Kings coming off 2 cups in a short span there. Pittsburgh Penguins back-to-back. Tampa Bay Lightning back-to-back. Almost did it 3 times. And now we're at the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions and have gone to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. And, the core of the team, the group that they won it with this year, they kept the whole band together. They were able to keep Sam Bennett. They were able to keep Aaron Ekblad and Brad Marchand. So, that's kind of the biggest thing is, can the Florida? Well, I mean, I guess we know that the Florida Panthers can three-peat, but will the Florida Panthers three-peat? And if they don't, who's the team that dethrones them? Like, are they the automatic? Like, they are now the surefire favorite if they knock off the Panthers? Probably. Or does it come down to the Florida Panthers make it to the Cup final for a fourth straight year and they lose there? And if they lose there, is it
the Oilers finally?
Is it the Oilers? Yeah. Do we see that matchup for
Vegas
third year in a row?
Tour?
Vegas, they got to be the ones to come back and take them down like they did the first time. Do the Dallas Stars finally get over the hump? Is it an underdog story like the Winnipeg Jets? Like, this is, I think, overall the biggest storyline going into the season, just because of how quickly it went from people being like making jokes of like, Florida shouldn't, like, the Panthers shouldn't even be in the league, they relocate them, they're a joke, to now like
people were saying that for 20 years about them too. Like,
they are the final
right
boss.
Beside the Coyotes.
Yeah,
for like
might have even been below at points because people actually like the Coyotes.
I genuinely think they were, because I think people made fun of the Coyotes because they were number 2. I think it was like they made fun of them because they at least remembered. I feel like people forgot about the Panthers, so they forgot to even like give them shit,
Exactly, right? Now,
and out of nowhere, like, incredible.
They're the big villain, the final boss, the team that everybody kind of seems to collectively hate outside of Florida fans, and they want to see the downfall of the Florida Panthers, and it hasn't happened yet. So again, that's, in my opinion, that is the biggest storyline, and kind of going to be the thing that everybody's looking at all season long. Like, can they make these additions? Like, they keep finding ways to. Are they able to keep this group together? Are they going to abuse the LTIR one final time because they can? And if they do, what teams are going to do it as well? Yeah, like, there's just so many things with this. And it's stuff like this, like, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm a big, Florida Panthers fan, whatnot, but I love when there's something like this that, like, it just creates such a big storyline that, like, just just grabs everybody, right? Like, they could play fucking Detroit could barely squeeze Philadelphia, actually. Philadelphia could squeeze into the playoffs and play Florida first round, and that is probably going to be the biggest series in the first round, just sheerly because everybody wants to see Florida lose. Yeah. Everybody wants to see that downfall, and it draws everybody towards it, and that's what makes it so exciting. I love stuff like this when
I remember, like,
so I was entrapped together.
It really does, and people so quickly can gather around that feeling of like, oh, this team again. Even if you're a fan of the Vancouver Canucks, like, you have no attachment to the Panthers, good or bad. Like, you just don't even think about them. You play them twice a year, who cares? And then you don't ever deal with them in the playoffs, and you don't really think about it. And even them, they'll be like, fuck, I'm sick of seeing these guys in the finals. Like, I remember when Tampa won their 2 cups, and then they were in the finals against the Avs, and I remember I was shocked at how many fans of, like, Dallas Stars, St. Louis Blues, Minnesota Wild, like, teams that often are like, fuck the Avs. There was plenty of them that was like, nah, Avalanche, go get yours. Like, they were sick of seeing the Lightning in there. So, like, as soon as a team starts winning over and over, people get sick of it real fast. In high school, I fucking hated the Blackhawks. Like,
yeah,
you get sick of seeing the same team win.
Yeah, especially when it came at the cost of, my beloved San Jose Sharks losing to them every single fucking year. But that's part of the game. So way it goes. Do you know? Actually, quick fun fact. This breaks my heart. Actually, do you know Joe Pavelski is the only NHL player in history to play over 200 playoff games and not win a Stanley Cup? It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
It's rough because I'm pretty sure the top, like, 4 guys in games played all time.
Yeah.
Our Sharks.
Yeah, they are.
But I'm surprised it's Pavelski over, Thornton just played forever, and
Yeah, but when you look at
Pavelski did get on the Stars as well, and he got a lot of games there.
One trip to the Cup Finals with the Stars, and then like 2 or 3 straight Eastern Finals or Western Finals runs like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a cup final with the Sharks as well. So
yeah, like played probably over 50 playoff games with the Stars alone in his short time.
This might sound insane, but like I actually feel like you might agree with this, as crazy of a take as it is, or some people listening might agree with this. I feel like it's about 50-50. It almost feels like even odds for the Panthers to miss the playoffs as they are to lose in the playoffs. Like, I feel like if they make the playoffs and they have such a good chance of winning the cup again, that like I feel like I would be just as shocked at them losing in the playoffs as I would be if they straight up got beat out and missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Especially with all the teams in the East coming up at the same time.
I think I would agree, just because you look at how just loaded this roster is from top to bottom, and the fact that they can go out and just grab these players that are kind of thrown away and thrown to the side and become stars, right? Like you look at their first go around when they won the cup, they brought in Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who kind of just got tossed to the side out of Vancouver, rejuvenated his career and was a stud there for Florida, and then went on to sign for a nice deal with Toronto. And then he's gone. It's like, what do? You grab the veteran for league minimum, Nate Schmidt, and he becomes a fucking rock star, especially in the cup final. He wins a cup, and now he goes off to Utah and signs a nice deal. So he's gone now. What do? Oh, you grab Jeff Petrie, who is a veteran but still has lots of game left in him, and is probably going to be a stud there. Like they just find a way to bring these guys in on 1-year deals for cheap. They win a cup, they cash in for a big payday. And it's like, all right, let's go grab this guy and repeat the cycle. It's, you take that into account with just how loaded that their top end talent is. And Bobrovsky's still not slowing down. Like, could this be the year he does? And if he does, how much does that hurt them? And if he does in the regular season, can they pivot and make a move for that? Like, there's just so many things to kind of keep an eye on with Florida that it's going to keep people locked in on them all season long. But we should move on to our next topic here. Do you want to kick us off here?
One final thing I will say about Florida is that I do find it interesting because they were incredibly proactive with re-signing their guys, right? Like, bringing Marchand back, Reinhart, all of them. They got them in so quick. They did not want to wait at all. And Sergei Bobrovsky has not been, to our knowledge, offered an extension.
No, not yet.
I assume if they bring him back, he's making less than 10 mil this time. But they love making sure that they know their guys are coming back right away. And I mean, it's your starting goalie for as long as he's been there. So it's curious that they haven't. I wonder if they're waiting to see what he does. I wonder how he plays. He's obviously aging out, but contract year, a lot of money on the table there. So we'll have to see what happens.
It's a really good point. Hit us with our next topic here.
Next, we have we've even mentioned this a little bit, the contract years for big stars. We got plenty of UFA and RFA stars and future stars that are all ready and looking for a contract. And like we said, this is the last year they can sign for 8 years as well. So you can sign for 8 years, but at the same time, do you want to? Because the cap is going up so much each year. If you sign 8 years now, you might be ending up with less money than if you sign for 3 years and then sign a 7-year deal or a 6-year deal with the new cap at the end of that. So it's a bit of how they want to do this, but plenty of the big names here.
Before you quickly list off the names, I will say also with this, it also, normally we wouldn't think this is a possibility, but after the Rantanen thing, anything's possible. So this opens the door for, not only are we going to see all of these players are going to get signed and there's going to be a lot of big deals here, but how many potentially big trades do we get out of these guys if contract negotiations aren't going well, especially the guys that are UFAs? And nowadays you have to get every ounce of value out of your players. And so, not many teams are going to let these guys walk. If they're not going to sign or can't get a deal done, they're going to move them. And so how many of them get moved. Like the door is wide open after the Rantanen situation, because for the longest time it didn't seem like a Rantanen trade was. We were like, no way. Like they would never trade him. Like he's too valuable to Colorado and whatnot. But
yeah,
boom!
I thought
and it
people were
happened out of
totally full of
nowhere.
shit when people were talking about it earlier in the year. Like I was like,
Yeah.
they're not moving him. They're gonna re-sign him. Even if it's a bit of an anchor, they're gonna re-sign him. Even if it takes till the summer.
Yeah.
But like came out of nowhere. And
Out of nowhere.
And there's, that sounds like a big name, but there's plenty of names just as big, if not bigger, that are expiring this next season. Like McDavid, Eichel, Kaprizov, Kyle Connor, Panarin, Marty Necas, Adrian Kempe, Alex Tuck, Rasmus Anderson, all UFAs.
Like those are just to name the top ones based off what they're projected to make.
Sign for.
Like,
yeah.
Even just to throw in a couple others, I mean, Anze Kopitar, but we'll get into him later. Nick Schmaltz, Philip Gustafson, Mike Masson, Bobrovsky mentioned, John Carlson, Jake Wallman, Ekholm, Patrick Laine. Like, there's a lot of Ryan McDonough. There's a lot of big time UFAs out there that, again, we know they're all going to sign, or at least most of them. What kind of deals are we looking at, right? Like it's interesting.
Yeah, like I feel like one of those big ones is going to fall. The McDavid, the Eichel, the Kaprizov, the Connor. One of those ones is going to happen, and I feel like we're going to see so many copycats. I feel like that's just going to set the bar for, okay, 100%. McDavid went for the 4-year contract so that he can get more money later, and he can still sign long term at the end of that, but he's not gonna lock in at money that looks like regular elite player instead of best in the league player money by the end of it. And if he does that, then I bet Eichel, Kaprizov, Kyle Connor, I bet the rest of them do that. Maybe even a bunch of like lower end UFAs, end up doing stuff like that. So I feel like it is a copycat league. So I think we're going to see a good bit of that. And that was all the UFAs. That's not even to mention the RFAs. Connor Bedard yet to have a contract. They just signed Nazar. Like, if you can lock in Bedard as well, that'd be insane. Jason Robertson, Harley, Adam Fantilli, Hudson, Carlson, Cooley, Dustin Wolf. Like,
and I'll again, that's only the top ones. Like, I'll list off a bunch more, and it's like, holy fuck, there's a lot of RFAs. Simone Edvinsson, Connor McMichael, Dylan Holloway, Jackson Lacombe, Zach Benson, Philip Broberg, Barrett Hayton, Cutter Gauthier, Pavel Dorofeev, Cole Perfetti, Brant Clark, Spencer Knight, Olin Zellweger, Pavel Mintyukov, Shane Pinto, Trevor Zegras, Jamie Drysdale, JJ Moser, Cole Sillinger, Michael Kesselring, like Josh Doan, Igor Chinikov, Simone Nemec, Jack Drury. Like the list just goes on.
I don't know if you named a guy that I would expect to not be in either a top 6 forward, top 4 defenseman, or starting goalie role. Like, I don't think you named any guys that I'm like, that's going to be a depth player. Like, those are all class guys.
Like, it's incredible how many big name guys are there that, we're going to be, of course, across the entire season. We're going to be seeing all these contracts slowly roll out. And again, I think you're right. Like, a lot of guys are waiting. Like, they're waiting for that first move to be made. Both of these are only rumors. Like, don't take this as gospel, but I've heard rumors that Jack Eichel is looking for $15 million per year on his next deal. I've heard rumors that after the kind of the Olympic camp and whatnot for Canada, McDavid and Edmonton are going to get back to the table. And there's rumors of a $16 million deal for McDavid, but only for 3 years. Like, these are only rumors right now, but again, a lot of these guys are waiting for someone to step up and be the first one to sign and kind of, set that market there. Like, if Kyle Connor comes out and signs for 8 years in Winnipeg at only $10.5 million, Kaprizov is obviously better than Kyle Connor, but how much does he get more than at that point? Artemi Panarin, Martin Necas, Adrian Kempe, like, a lot of these guys are just waiting for one guy to be the first one to step up and say, I'll sign a deal, and now you guys can fight for every penny that you can get based off my deal, basically. And especially like we said last year, you can sign guys to an 8-year deal.
I'd be very interested to know which of these teams are thinking like, I hope we can get this deal done before the other teams. Like, if you're, Edmonton, they're giving McDavid a blank check. I even think Minnesota with Kaprizov, they're giving him a blank check. Like, whatever you want. Like, the team has no identity without you here.
Honestly, if you're Winnipeg, I think you give Kyle Connor.
I was going to say, I think Kyle Connor needs to get signed for Winnipeg's sake.
You're kind of fucked, especially after losing Ehlers.
I think you could get Kyle Connor at 10.5, 11 mil per season for a decent amount of term right now.
I think so.
If they wait, I think it's very realistic that we see McDavid 16 mil, Eichel 14 to 15, Kaprizov 14 to 15. If all three of those happen, even if Kyle Connor's not on those levels, there's a good chance he's going, okay, my price is up to 12.5, 13.
Yeah. Right?
So,
it's someone's got to be the first one to sign that deal, and the rest are going to fall in line. So that's, obviously a very big part of this season is contract extensions are always happening across the season, but it opens that door now after this last season of like, could any of these guys be moved? And, what's a return look like for some of them? And, where do they go? Like there could be some moves being made, and
a McDavid
one of my
chaos.
One of my
unprecedented.
One of my predictions was Artemi Panarin gets traded. That's a very realistic possibility, especially if the Rangers are looking like they might miss the playoffs again. Maybe Panarin's like, hey, I've only got a couple years left in the league. Like, that's crazy. We're talking about Panarin. It's like only a couple years left. If there's no,
he won the Calder 10 years
Stanley
ago.
Cup. If you can't see a Stanley Cup there in New York in the next couple years, you might be like, yeah, I'm out. And then you got to trade him because, again, you got to get something back for your star players. You don't let them walk for nothing. Even if you lose the trade, sorry, Colorado, you have to get something back at least.
You'd much rather Marty Necas than nothing.
Exactly right. And you hope that the player doesn't end up getting traded a couple weeks later back to your division, and then you play him in round one.
Yeah, you know what? If anything, you learn from that, and you put a clause on the deal that if he ends up playing against us within our division, then you owe us extra picks, because don't do that.
And that has happened before. Like, I know there's gonna be people that be like, "Oh, you can't do that." Absolutely, you can.
There's basically that was rules.
In the Erik Karlsson trade to San Jose.
Yeah,
that was strictly in there.
No rules for the clauses like that. Like, obviously, you can't have things like don't pay the player if this happens or something. Like, you can't break the contract. But as far as what you're allowed to do with that player with trades, or if you do this thing, then you can't. Then you owe us this. Like, that's you can get real freaking creative with it. And I'm hoping over the next few seasons we see guys get like goofy levels of creative with it, because I think it's a bit on the horizon now.
We're in a day and age in NHL right now where it's just anything's possible.
Every advantage you can get, like, even if that means going through the most complicated, like, horrible to read clauses possible that you can't put on cap wages. If it helps your team, who cares?
Exactly right.
If it sucks for the player, you're trading him. Who cares?
Yeah, 100%.
These guys want to win.
Moving on to the next topic here. Who gets back into the fight? We've got a couple teams here that are, have been out of the playoffs for a little while. The first three that we're going to go through have the three longest active playoff droughts, and then the fourth one just makes a lot of sense to talk about in this situation. So starting off with the longest active playoff drought, the beloved Buffalo Sabres, who have now missed the playoffs for 14 straight seasons. Their last playoff appearance was in 2011. So the Buffalo Sabres, is this the year we finally see them get back into the fight here in the playoffs and break this drought?
Like,
possible.
It's definitely possible. They got a good young team, a lot of promise. And Mike, I know I've said it before, but I just respect the hell out of that fan base for showing up still. Like, they're not given a lot of reasons to, but they're truly great fans. for sticking by their team through all that garbage that continues to go on. But they have a good roster. They just
that's the thing,
it's
right?
like watching the Leafs in a 7-game series in the playoffs, but it's prolonged over the 82 games of the regular season for the Sabres. Like they just find these spectacular ways to fall short. Like, weren't they like 7th or 8th in the league last year in goal scoring?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? Like they always find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. It's not like, it's nothing outside of within that locker room. How many years have we seen where they start off and it gets to the point where they're like in first place in the entire league after the first month, but then that inevitable 10, 11, 12, 13 game losing streak hits and you're done because you can't overcome that, especially with how many good teams there are across the league. And
especially in that Atlantic,
they were in the top 5, I think, for goal scoring last season. It was just their defense was fucking horrendous. And what was their biggest offseason move? Probably losing a trade with Utah and trading away JJ Peterka. But what did they get? They finally got a top 4 right-handed defenseman that you can put alongside one of your 2 first overall picks in Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. 2 guys that you have yet to find a partner with for them. Look at Colorado. You have Cale Makar, your franchise defenseman. What was one of the first things they did? Oh, you go out and you grab Devon Taves to play alongside Cale Makar for the next 10 years. Oh, you've got Quinn Hughes in Vancouver, your franchise defenseman. What do? You go out and get Philip Hronek, who can play alongside him for the next 10 years if he stays. You have Kesselring finally, which helps your defense. And you grab Josh Doan, who I think is going to be a phenomenal, probably bottom 6 center, but a great face-off guy, a great penalty killer, great two-way guy. And they also grabbed Connor Timmins, who last year was probably one of the best third-pairing right-handed defensive defensemen. So did you probably lose your biggest move you made? Yeah, but it also helped you fill out the areas you needed the most, which is helping out in your own end. So there's always a lot of talk about Buffalo of, could this be the year? Like, I have hope. This is the year where it's genuinely their best chance because of the only moves they made were addressing what that needed to be addressed. And you've got solid goaltending too. Like, I don't think goaltending was the issue. It was just how shitty you were at playing defense.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those combination goaltending defense situations where it's like you can't tell if it's the defense or the goalie really, because both the numbers are bad because just one begets the other. And whenever that happens, it's kind of easier to lean towards the defense's fault because that's putting it on multiple guys versus 1 or 2 goalies.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to when you look at it. It's like they were one of the best goal-scoring teams last season.
Yeah.
Like, and they have no problem scoring. It's just keep it out of your net.
They've got some solid contracts, too. You know, they got Tage Thompson at $7.1 million for another 5 years. Like, that's an absolute bargain. Like, they got Alex Tuch's only for 1 more year, but he's making less than $5 million, and he's just an absolute wagon. Like, he's so good.
The way Dahlin played last year, $11 million is kind of a steal even. Owen Power, he's only making $8 million. And I think with the right player, he can even take that next step. But again, you know, like I said, they had to find the right guys to play with them. And Kesselring's going to be a guy, he's either going to be the running mate alongside Power or Dahlin. You're halfway there to find in the right-handed guy to go with those guys. So, yeah, Buffalo's going to be a team because, again, 14 straight years of missing the playoffs. You got to think eventually it's going to come to an end, and could be the year.
It could be.
We've seen Ottawa get back in there. We see Detroit.
There's a lot of teams in that Atlantic that want to get in there.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? They're in a tough division, but I mean, they have just as good of a chance as an Ottawa, as a Montreal, as a Detroit. Like they're right in there. The biggest thing is don't go on that double-digit losing streak. The moment that happens,
they just get in their heads at some point in the season.
Yeah, it's just you're done. So if they can avoid that, there's a chance. Not saying it's going to happen. I mean, I did pick them to make the playoffs, but
yeah, it's teams like that make me say that. Like, I feel like it's an equal chance that the Panthers miss the playoffs as they are to lose in the playoffs if they get there, because them and another team we'll talk about here, the Detroit Red Wings as well. Really, they're clamoring, doing everything they can to try and get back in the playoffs. Like, those are 2 teams that were outside the playoffs that's not even mentioning, Montreal's taken a step last season. They're looking to take another step, even though they did make the playoffs last year. The Sens want to move forward. Like, the only team that's really going down in the Atlantic Division is the Leafs. And I don't know if they're even really outside of the playoffs going down. They just lost Mitch Marner. They still filled out a lot of their roster. So
yeah,
it's going to be a dogfight over there. And as far as the Detroit Red Wings go, who have missed the playoffs for 9 straight seasons now, their last appearance was in 2016. I almost like Buffalo's odds better than the Red Wings.
I'm right there with you. 100%. Like,
and they've got some of those top end guys. Like, they've got, Mo Seider, I think is becoming one of the more underrated players in the league. I think he's really solid. Dylan Larkin is so consistently good. Like, I think he's on like 5 30-goal seasons in a row. Lucas Raymond kind of broke out a bit last year. He's poised to break out again this year to like even that higher tier, go from like elite to superstar. DeBrinket's so good. They still have Patty Kane for $3 million for 1 more year. Like, they've got some great players, but that supporting cast, after Mo Seider, who's your second best defenseman on the team?
Yeah, that's where it hurts.
Ben Sherratt
is their blue line. I think it's probably Simon Edvinsson. But again, like you need him to take that next step, right? Like, exactly. You can't put out a bunch of guys on their ELCs or just getting their feet wet in the league and expect them to be leading the charge. And that's what has hurt Detroit, is how bad their blue line is. I think the goaltending got an upgrade in John Gibson, but
their goalies kind of stole them a lot of games last year already, though. Like, they played above. I didn't think that was going to be the case.
You believed that their goaltending was going to be good. I thought it was going to be awful, like just ass. But
yeah, I was higher on them than most people, and even I was shocked at how many games were stolen by them. Like, I just thought it wasn't going to be their weak spot, really. Mm-hmm. But it was very actively good, and it still wasn't enough.
What did Detroit do to wow anyone? You traded for John Gibson, and that's about it. I mean, thankfully you didn't trade away someone with a 2nd-round pick just to get rid of him and have it blow up in your face. Like, you managed to avoid that, but
1 year streak of avoiding that.
Yeah, like they didn't improve the defense, and Buffalo did, and that was their biggest weakness. That's why I'm kind of rock with Buffalo a bit more, because they're on top of their issues, whereas Detroit, they're kind of sitting in the same spot, like, where we've got the pieces, we just need them to get it done. It's like, you've got too many young guys. You need some of those, a mix of some veterans to kind of bridge the gap until those young guys can get in there. And we'll see with them. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm definitely more on the Buffalo side than I'm on the Detroit side right now.
Yeah, unless a guy like Axel Sandin Pellikka comes in and like is a Calder winner or finalist, like, unless he comes in and like helps change that entire blue line,
basically comes in and does
I don't know how I see. Yeah,
like, that's basically what you need him to do if you want to. Honest, I don't want to say have a chance, but like, realistically, if you want to have a chance to make the playoffs,
I was gonna say, yeah, no,
you kind of need that.
It kind of it works. Like,
it's
you
tough
need
for
that.
Detroit,
you need Raymond to be like a borderline 100-point player. Larkin's gotta up his game a bit, like, because I don't see Mason Appleton on the 3rd line carrying this team to the playoffs.
Yeah, no.
Marco Kasper as well.
Marco, yeah, I was gonna throw him in there. I think he's gonna have a really good season here, and kind of cement himself as part of that core for Detroit, because I really did like what I saw from him last season. The 3rd team that has the longest active playoff drought is the Anaheim Ducks. They've missed the playoffs now for 7 straight seasons, going all the way back to 2018, where we saw their last appearance.
Only 2 years less of a playoff drought than the Red Wings, but man, does it have an entirely different feel, doesn't it?
It 100% does, and that's because
they went through the rebuild, right?
They're on the coming up of a rebuild. It feels like for Detroit, it's been like, man, you guys kind of stopped the rebuilding phase like 4 years ago. Like, what's going on? Whereas Anaheim, it's like,
They just never got those guys that you need when you're doing the rebuild. Like they got,
because they only got what,
they got a couple of them.
Well, actually, they did have, like, the thing is, I look at Detroit, and this is no shade to Simone Edvinsson. I think he's going to be great. But the outlook of Detroit would be so much different if it's like, instead of Simone Edvinsson, you have William Eklund in that top six now. And they could have had that, right? So that's kind of the thing. And Detroit never had the luxury of drafting, first overall, second overall, third overall. And the one year where they probably should have picked first overall, probably best that they didn't, because I don't think Lafreniere would be making a big difference there right now. So they didn't fully hit some home runs with their picks, and they never had that luxury of those top end picks. Whereas you look at Anaheim, I mean, you have Leo Carlsson, you have Mason McTavish, you have Beckett Seneca. They had a vision and identity, and that is top end talent, but also big top end talent, to now where they're going to have so much skill, but size along with that skill. And as their young players are coming up, my biggest issue with them last year was you need a couple more veterans, right? You're kind of letting, a bunch of, and I'm not saying that like you can't do that and it doesn't work, but it usually doesn't work if you have a bunch of 19, 20, 21-year-olds running the team, right? Like you have guys like Killorn and Gudas, but exactly. And that's kind of what they did this offseason. So you have the young guys that are now ready to take that next step, but you actually have a good supporting cast of veterans around them. Alex Killorn, Mikael Granlund, Radko Gudas, Jacob Trouba. I feel like I'm missing one more.
Chris Kreider, even. Like
Chris Kreider, yes. Like that's a good group of veterans to have your young guys learn from, right? Like who's as a team with young power forwards, who fucking better to learn from than Chris Kreider? A guy that tucked 50 goals by just plugging his ass in front of the net.
Yeah,
and
like
banging
honestly,
home rebounds, tipping pucks on the power play. Like you literally could not learn in the league right now from a better guy as a young power forward.
They're like Kreider and Killorn, especially to me, are going to be so good for those young guys because both of those two play a very similar game of they've always played with guys that felt more skilled than them, but they got damn good at playing up to those guys' skill by knowing where to be around the net. Like Killorn for 3-4 years was always on the power play with freaking Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman, and whoever else was with them at the time, whether it's JT Miller or Braden Point. Like, and he was always up there. Like it wasn't a rotating fifth guy because he got so good at body positioning around the net. Like, yeah, having him and Kreider teaching these young guys like Leo Carlsson and Mason McTavish is going to do wonders for them.
And that's also part of why, and I think I was definitely in the minority, but that's why I didn't hate, I maybe would have liked to see them get a bit more or something, but that's why I didn't hate the Jacob Trouba deal, because you looked at it, and it was Radko Gudas was your oldest defenseman at 35. The next youngest, Jackson Lacombe, 24. An 11-year gap from your oldest to second oldest defenseman.
Yeah, no wonder he's got the seed.
31.
Like, he's the
good
dad.
Leader, and yeah, right? Like, that's why, again, I wasn't like super crazy, but I was on board with it because I was like, okay, good. You're at least bringing in veterans.
And it's expiring next season, so it's not going to hold them down in the future. Like, it was a good deal for Anaheim. It was a good deal for Anaheim, really. It was just annoying that they let the Rangers off the hook, really, was all. Like, I feel like people were more annoyed at the general idea of it and the Rangers getting out from under it than it actually being a bad deal for the Ducks.
Yeah, and people like, oh, should have made Rangers retain. Anaheim still has $20 million in cap space. Like, it's not that Rangers should have retained. It's just Anaheim probably could have asked for more to take on the contract. And
exactly. It's very similar to me to San Jose and the Rangers with Barclay Goodrow.
Yeah, like, I'm still waiting. Waiting for.
It's like
Mike
you could have gotten more for it, but at the same time, you know what? It's helping you out. Whatever, you get some good. Curry some good favor with another team as well. Like, future considerations. It's nothing on paper, but eventually you can come calling, and sometimes it ends up mattering. So being buddies with guys in the league is never a bad thing.
And more than anything, Anaheim's in a I think what is probably the weakest division in the NHL right now in the Pacific. So they're on the rise. Calgary's kind of stuck in the middle right now. I think Seattle might kind of be taking a step back. San Jose is going to try to climb out of the bottom, but I don't think they're above Anaheim yet. Vancouver could be on the there is a chance that Anaheim could be in the playoffs because of just how dog shit their division is and how many potential free wins they could pile up from their division.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that
shocked.
Is open. I wouldn't be that shocked if they made the playoffs. I even thought they might be an outside pick last season, but this season I think they're really poised to take that step. Especially
I like what they've been doing.
Another year under Lucas Dostal's belt in the net. He looked so good last season.
And he's the guy. There's no when does John Gibson come back from injury and take back the crease? It is, Dostal is their guy. He's got that new contract now. It's not when's he getting pulled? It's he's now the guy, and that's so huge. That's why as a Sharks fan, I'm very excited to be it's Askrov's crease now, right? There's no bouncing between goalies in this goalie carousel they've been in for 5 years. You have your future goalie, and he is now your guy that you are rolling with, and that's very exciting for these young rebuilding teams. And Montreal's going to get there soon with their guys. Detroit potentially could as early as this year. Buffalo's starting to get at that point. That is huge for these young teams coming out of rebuild. It's you need that. You need your Vasilevsky. You need your Hellebuck. You need your Ottinger. You need those guys to start playing. And once they start playing,
it's
they
hard
get better and they become. Guys. Yeah,
you usually got to draft them.
They get it really is. You got to find a team that's in a massive bind to pull that off, or you got to be scouting goalies like crazy and find that diamond in the rough, because not many goalies go in the first round. A lot of these goalies are second, third, fourth round, and so on. And
yeah. Another thing that I do love that this Ducks team has done, they are not tied down to hardly any contracts. Very little trade protection on this team. Even Dostal, modified no trade clause. Trouba and Gudas both have modified no trade. So if they need to, they can still move them. Only 4 guys have any trade protection on the forward core, and that's a modified no trade on Troy Terry, a modified no trade on Kreider, a modified no trade on Killer. So you can move all of those guys, and then a full no trade clause for Granlund, which they just signed and is only for 3 years.
They played it smart because they're going to have so much money opening up for when they give these young guys that is their their core for the future, these big deals. And you build around that. You don't have you're not signing McTavish, Carlson, whatnot, and being oh but shit, we got this guy locked in for 6 more years at this. You are setting the foundation with these young guys, and once you do that, everybody else behind them kind of has to fall in line with that.
They really went full
to be in.
Yeah, they went full EA franchise mode with this rebuild. They did it how a guy like you or me would do it, sitting on the couch at home. If you could make everything happen right, it feels like they've just had basically no hiccups along the way. Somehow,
I will say I was kind of low on their rebuild last offseason. But in a year's time, the narrative is totally shifted because of the way that they have handled things. And that is huge, from the coaching change to finally moving on from Gibson.
Coaching change to
be your guy. Again, good, more good drafting. Again, I mentioned all those great young power forwards. Oh, well, who did you draft this year? 6'5" Roger McQueen. They are going to be such a skilled team, but also a big team. And you finally have good veterans to learn from. And again, no one better to learn from in terms of being a power forward than Chris Kreider right now. Maybe an Anders Lee for a veteran, but again, Chris Kreider is the perfect guy to learn from in front of the net, fighting for loose pucks, tipping it home, and creating havoc down low. That is who you want to learn from. And all these guys get the chance to now. That's exciting for Anaheim. Hit us with our last team here.
The Utah Mammoth, no longer the Utah Hockey Club. They are looking to make a push for the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. They got their new jerseys. They got their new logo. not a new arena, but an updated arena since last season. And, they went out and they got Peterka. Like they're very evidently looking to try and get in. And like you said, I guess you said about the Pacific, the Central isn't very weak, but the division or the conference as a whole, there's a decent chance that they could squeak in there with a wild card spot.
Yeah, I think they're better than Nashville. I think they're better than Chicago, obviously. And I think I think they're right in there to compete with a St. Louis and with a Minnesota, as crazy as that is, because
it's really those three.
Utah's on the coming up, and Minnesota really didn't capitalize on all their cap space that opened up. And no fault of their own. Like the free agent market was kind of ass, and the two guys like Brock Nelson and Brock Besser, the two Brocks that kind of felt like slam dunks to go to Minnesota, never really hit the open market. Nelson didn't even get there, and Brock Besser, as soon as he got there, was like, yeah, I'm going back to Vancouver. Like he didn't, it didn't really seem like he gave it much of a chance. So they kind of got stuck there. I think it was when it was the Coyotes. They made the playoffs in 2020, but that was kind of that weird COVID year. They did make it out of the first, kind of play-in bubble area, and they did make it in, but they did get bounced in the first round. Before that, it might have been all the way back to 2012. Like it's been a long time since this. I mean, it is a new franchise now, but for the fans that followed along from Arizona to Utah, it's been a while since they've really kind of seen them in the playoffs and real playoffs where you could actually attend games and, it's not no fans in the arena. And for the Utah Mammoth, again, they're not the Utah Hockey Club. Like this is their first year of being like, we're now because again, they were an official team last year, but me personally, I never really treated it that way. I was like, oh, like it's an up and coming team in the league. Like, but now they have a real look, a real identity, a real feel to them for me. And that's where I'm like, man, like this is the year where they want to go all in and now treat it like we're an official NHL franchise. Like there is no more little things to be, I mean, the arena, but in terms of the franchise and their identity, it is set now. And this is what you're going to roll with. Time to make some noise. You got a damn good team.
A lot of them on great contracts as well. Peterka, Keller, Genther, all on very reasonable contracts. None of them making more than 7.7. All of them locked in for 3, 5, and 8 years.
Logan Cooley is by tomorrow he could be locked in on an 8-year deal, right? Like he's kind of the last piece of your core, and then you still look at all the other incredible young prospects they have coming up. Like they got a lot. Like they're in a really good spot. Like they're going to be a fun team coming up here.
That's one thing. I feel like at least last season, I'm hoping that, the new car smell doesn't wear off, and I hope they're still able to keep it going. But last season, it really did feel like they were just so fun, Like just watching them play, it never felt like you would, if they were to blow a lead and stuff, it never felt like they were hanging their heads going, shit, here we go. Or damn it, I knew this would happen. Like it really felt like whenever that would happen, they'd be like, all right, let's fucking do this. Let's get back into this one. Like they were one of those teams that almost similar to Columbus last season, where it's like, even if there's 5 minutes left and you're up by 3, it's like, they're not the best team in the league, far from it. But like, they're just so scrappy and they have the skill there that like, I wouldn't be shocked if against a Dallas Stars, they score 3 in the final 5 and come back. Like they just had that a little bit of that magic around them. So if you can combine that with some growth on all their young guys and some of the new guys as well, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they made the playoffs as well. They're going to have to fight past some good Central teams, but
yeah, and maybe it's just me, but I think it goes a long way that like I know he was last, but like you finally have like an official captain in Clayton Keller, and like that's your guy going for it, and that guy represents everything with the Utah Mammoth, and it even goes back to the Arizona Coyotes. Like he was their young up and coming star, and he signed long term there. He was like, I want to be here, I want to win here. Like he's one of those guys, and it's starting to kind of feel like a rarity. Not as much in the NHL, but especially in other sports, of guys that are like, I got drafted to potentially the worst fucking situation possible. but this was a team that drafted me. I'm loyal. You know, they took a chance on me, and I'm going to show them that I can be the guy and I'm going to lead this team. And now having him as your, captain and the guy that's going to lead this team, just hit 90 points last year, and you have an identity. Because maybe not for the players, but I feel like it's really been like, man, we're the fucking mammoth now, not just, hey, we're the Utah Hockey Club. Like, you've now got something that I think means more on the front of your sweater, right? Because that's always the biggest thing in hockey is you play for the logo on the front, not the name on the back. You can finally look down on your jersey when you're taking a face off at center ice. You can look down and be like, this is what we're playing for. And your whole fan base can now really get behind being the mammoth. They can start to come up with whatever fun shit they want to do as a fan base because you've got something that everybody can buy into. And I feel like that's going to go a long way for them now that they're having a good team. And, it's not, we're the Utah Mammoth, but we're probably going to be bottom 3 in the league. It's like, we're the Utah Mammoth, and we have a really good chance at making the playoffs.
Yeah, and I do think it helps that their management
that's huge.
Very clearly believes in them. Like, man, this guy coming in and just out of nowhere grabbing that Coyotes franchise that was just falling apart at the freaking seams and just immediately picking it up, being like, I got an arena. It's not great, but it's certainly better than a freaking college arena seating 5,000. And also, I'm gonna change it. We're gonna do construction. We're gonna make it better. Immediately goes out and trades for a guy like Sergachev. Like, he immediately went out and did so many things that were like, we're fucking like serious about this. Like, they were so evidently in a couple weeks more serious about winning than anything I had ever seen out of Arizona, frankly, since they were at least since they were the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah, and so much good talent came over along with that too, that you're like, we've already kind of got the building pieces here. Like, we can start to really,
the pieces you can win with are already there. And then on top of that, they've still got 5 or 6 anywhere from really solid to borderline elite players coming up in their system. So if they can like make the playoffs this next year, and then the year after that, they're adding 2 former first round picks, that it's going to be huge for them. And you know what? The future is really bright, Utah, because on top of that, out of the next 3 seasons, they're missing 1 pick those entire 3 years. And that's this year's 6th rounder. And other than that, they've got an extra third, an extra 5th, an extra 5th, an extra 4th, and 2 extra seconds this year. Like,
so you're at that point now where
they even got $6 million cap space right now.
Yeah, so they're kind of, and they're at that nice spot where it's like you have all these picks, but it's like you almost just kind of want to maybe move them, right? Like, you kind of look at it, it's like you can maybe draft another defenseman if the right one shows up. But it's like you've got, you've got your forward core that you kind of want to run with. You've got a couple studs on the back end.
Is Nick Schmaltz a good enough second line center?
Serviceable, but then you look at it, it's like, okay, you've got Tij Ginla that's coming up soon, and if you want to move him to the wing, which I think you kind of have to at this point because you have Caleb Denoye, who you just drafted 4th overall. Like,
true, they even moved up in the draft this past year. Like, there's a lot of things
which was like huge, right? So I almost kind of want them to just take the approach of what Tampa's doing, and you trade your picks and grab established guys right now that can make an impact now and make you better, because you've kind of got the pieces in place right now. And for the future, you've got those guys coming up in the next, 2 years. Go out and grab guys that make you better now.
Yeah. We should probably move on. We've talked a lot about these 4 teams trying to get back into the playoffs. Who knows if any of them will? I'm definitely feeling better about the chances of the Ducks and the Mammoth than the Sabres and the Wings, but who knows? Some years we get no turnover in the playoffs. Some years we get crazy turnover, and you see playoff streaks that you never thought were going to break this soon get broken. So
100%. We'll see what happens.
Moving on, we got a couple more here. A couple people are potentially entering the final year of their entire NHL careers.
We called this chapter "Out with the Old."
Out with the old,
but It's true.
It's true. And Ovechkin, he said that he wants to play in the KHL for his team that he played for in the KHL a couple seasons before he, fully professionally retires. But as far as his NHL career, he's only got 1 year left on his current contract. Same with Malkin and same with Kopitar. I believe Malkin said a similar thing about the KHL as well. And I think Kopitar has he said that this might be his last year? I think he said that
he's
not
confirmed it, but I think it's kind of sounding like it's his last year. And Evgeny Malkin hasn't said it, but we can kind of assume when it's like Pittsburgh has already said before the season starts, they're not re-signing him. So, and I think it's probably gonna be one of those things where Malkin just rides off into the sunset. And I mean, he's got all the hardware. He's got the 3 Stanley Cups, right? Like Alex Ovechkin, he's got the Stanley Cup, the all-time goal scoring record. Kopitar, he's got his Selkies, he's got his 2 cups. Like these guys have their resumes set. They're not in one of those positions where
they're all first ballot.
You go cup chasing, or you go and try and chase personal accolades. Like they've achieved what they've set out to do in this league, and now you sit back and it's like, they all have the chance to ride off into the sunset on their own terms, which is huge for hockey players because you never know when your career could be cut short, and they all retire as one team players. Not many guys can go down saying that, right? So, it's gonna be crazy though if it's like a Dynasty and it's like, bam, we just lost, Ovi, Malkin, and Kopitar all just like that. Like that.
And those are just the names that we have on there. Like there's plenty of other guys that are very good chance at the Hall of Fame or just really good players that defined a generation that could be retiring. I would not be shocked at all if Brent Burns retired after this season.
Yeah, I think this is Burns' last year. Yeah, and I mean he's in a great spot to, again, kind of like I talked about is cup chasing, right? Like he went to Colorado because, not because he wanted to be a top line player. Like he's probably going to be a third pair defenseman, but it's a great chance to go and win a cup. And he's a guy that he's got the numbers to back up a Hall of Fame spot. He's got that Norris, like the longevity.
Absolutely does.
Guy like Jamie Benn, I think if Dallas finally pulls it off and wins the cup, that could be it for Jamie Benn. You ride off into the sunset with your Stanley Cup, and he's got an Art Ross. Like at that point, you sit back, it's like, what more do you do, right? You can retire a one-team guy, and you've won what you needed to, and that more than anything, that's a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Even Ryan Suter, like I'm pretty sure he's really climbing up there in the all-time games played list as well. Like I think he's played like 1,400 games or something like that already. So, even if he's not going to the Hall of Fame, like, I mean, he's left his mark on the sport for sure. So
he's currently a UFA, but I think he'll get signed at some point. Some team will be looking for the services of him, and I think, and yeah, he's 40. He's gonna be turning 41 this year, so he's probably a guy that signs league minimum 1 year, and
you think the Ducks are gonna grab him?
Gives it one last run,
get another solid vet.
Yeah, I mean,
they've got the cap space, sign him for 1 year. Just hell, hey, you're gonna play 15 games this year. Be a good dude in the locker room. He doesn't have a contract. He'll probably take it.
Sign for league min. Come play with us till the deadline, and we'll ship you off to a contender. Play well enough, and look, we'll send you to Florida if they want.
I was gonna say, hey, you know what? If you're a plus 10 by the trade deadline, we'll send you to Florida. Go for it.
We'll do it for future considerations, like, and then that gives you also some good pull with some players around the league being like, man, Anaheim's fucking cool. It's a cool place. Good dudes there.
Florida. They'd somehow convince them to send Suter over with a second round pick or something.
Probably. But yeah, it's going to be crazy to kind of, watch all these players and be like, yeah, this is, especially for the 3 that we mentioned, Ovechkin, Malkin, and Kopitar, probably their last year in the league. So, got to enjoy when you get the chance. If you get the chance during the season and they're in town and you're debating on going to a game, go to it, because you might not get another chance to watch these guys anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine if you're in going to see a game for a team in the Western Conference where Ovechkin would only play one game that year because you play 2 games against him, one home and one away. I imagine tickets for that Capitals game are probably a little more expensive than every other game.
Yeah. For good reason.
So out with the old, and I guess we can go into the new with this next one because we have an insane Calder race coming up this season, which pretty tough act to follow after this last year. I think who came third in Calder voting this past season? Wolf?
Yeah, Wolf. Yeah, Wolf.
You know what? Hell, you can even go fourth. Michkov was in fourth,
Yeah.
right? I bet if you put Michkov in many of the last few years for the Calder race, he wouldn't just be a finalist. There's a very good chance he would win it in several of the years.
Win it. Yeah.
And he wasn't even a finalist last year. So, like, pretty big shoes to fill. But, I mean, guys like Demidov, Schaefer, Michael Misa, Askarov, Ryan Leonard, Gabe Perreault, Jimmy Snuggerud, like Nikishin, Parek, Sandin Pelika, Isaac Howard. Like, there are so many good prospects right now coming into the league. And most of those guys are poised to be playing in the NHL. I think pretty much all of them have either said they're going to or are like it's looking like they will. And those are just the guys we named there. Like there's still plenty more.
The only one on that list, that isn't confirmed pretty much to be a full-time NHLer this next year is Michael Misa because he hasn't signed his ELC. But again, I'm fully on the belief that he's going to, because I think the deadline is past now if he wants to commit to go play college hockey. And if he was going to, I think he would have already made that decision. And
why would he go to juniors?
Going back to the OHL that you just absolutely dominate in does no good for you. So I fully expect that he's gonna. That's why I include him, because I fully do believe he will sign his ELC and he'll be playing full time in the NHL this year. Like I expect all these other guys to be doing.
Yeah, like they're. Do we know if Zeev Bium is set to join?
Oh yeah, I didn't put him in. Yeah, he's also there. Yeah, I didn't even. I forgot about it. Yeah, he's right. I had him on the list, but I forgot to put him on this one. So yeah, he's also another guy that is going to be in a great spot there in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's going to be, if he's as long as health permitting for Demidov, it's going to be tough for anyone else to pry that Calder away from him because he has all the momentum in the world right now. He looked so good coming in for the I don't even know if he played 10 games last season. Like he played like 2 in the regular season and then 5 or 6 in the playoffs, but damn, he looked good doing it.
He looked really good, yeah.
Off season to gel with the guys, get better. His teammates are all young; they're getting better. It's gonna be tough with him in that top 6 first line power play to beat him out. But a lot of these other guys are coming into pretty good situations as well. So it still could be anyone's race with the amount of talent coming up.
There's just so much good up and coming talent. And you just look at a lot of these guys, that are going to be put in great spots. You got of all the names that we put out there, who's probably got the lowest chance? Probably Gabe Perreault, just because he's on the Rangers. But outside of that, Matthew Schaefer, who just went first overall. And that's probably just because of there's just other good defense in front of him, and he's got some guys climb over, but like Demidov's going to be in the top 6 for Montreal on top power play. Misa, same thing with San Jose. Askarov, San Jose starting goalie. Ryan Leonard, top 6 for Washington. Jimmy Snuggerud, potentially in first line for St. Louis. Nikishin, the door is wide open now with Brent Burns gone to run the power play and whatnot.
Yeah.
Same Parek easily could come in and run Calgary's power play day one. Same with Sandin Pelika and Isaac Howard. Oh no, you might not get top power play time, but you're going to get to play with McDavid or Draisaitl. So, if Zach Hyman can drop 57 goals playing alongside McDavid, Isaac Howard could drop 40.
With the ice time I expect him to get, if he's just stationary out there with his stick on the ice, he probably ends the season with 30 points.
Goals.
I was just saying, you put him on the face-off dot, have him stand still, and I'm sure it'll bounce off of him to a future Hall of Famer, and they'll score.
A lot of these guys are already great young up and coming talent, but great situations to me. And then Zeev Bium, again, He's going to be in top 4 for Minnesota on their blue line, and probably, honestly, running the top power play.
Start at the minimum, he's going to start the season quarterback in the second power play unit. And yeah, the way he plays, I definitely think there's a very good chance he takes that top spot rather quickly.
Yeah, and the talent is there to put up the numbers. So again, it's going to be tough to compete with last year's Calder, but the talent is there. If it could happen again this year.
All those guys we just mentioned as well. If you're in a larger fantasy league, with like 10 or more teams, if any of those guys are available after, the 10th or 11th round, like, yeah, you're getting to steal territory for sure.
Yeah, keep some tabs on him for sure.
Especially Demidov, although he's with the Canadians, so pretty good chance you have at least one Canadians fan who's going to take him early in every fantasy draft. I don't know if I've ever been in a fantasy league that doesn't have at least one Canadians fan.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing to keep tabs on is what could be a potentially incredible Calder race. The next topic here, not super long, not a whole lot to say on it. But for the first time since 2014, NHL players are returning to the Olympics. In February, we won't have an All-Star game this year. There will not be any Four Nations, but that is because we will have the Olympics. And again, like, not a super deep dive, but just more than anything, it's incredible. It's going to be exciting. We already got a little bit of taste from the Four Nations last year, and this is just going to rock. It's just going to be awesome.
It's going to be so good. It's going to be amazing. And I do think that Matthew Tkachuk, I don't know if how much he needed his surgery. I don't know the ins and outs of his injuries. I'm also not a doctor, but I do think the main reason he's getting his surgery now, or had it a bit ago, is because he wants to make sure he is ready for the Olympics. Like, we saw how hard these guys worked at the Four Nations. That's just for country bragging rights. You're representing your country, but like, just in this tournament that Bettman just made up on a weekend. Like, that's it. He just thought of it and they did it. That's it. This is the Olympics. You get a gold medal for this. Like, this is much more official on a resume. So this is going to be a hell of a lot for those guys.
Yeah, it like, again, people are like, oh, the intensity won't be the same because there won't be as much physicality in fighting. The physicality will be there. The fighting, no, but these players are going to be just as amped up, if not more, because again, like you said, they're playing for a gold medal. Like, they are, outside of Sidney Crosby in the tournament, like, these guys are all going to be first-time Olympians.
Yeah,
they want to go in there and
that didn't be there before.
Yeah, like, and they want to go in there and make their mark and be like, yeah, I just won a gold medal. Like, I'm a gold medalist at the Olympics. Like, that's pretty cool to say. And so the intensity is going to be just as high. The fighting, no, but that's obvious. But that doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to be doing everything else at full speed.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. And obviously we got to see it a little bit at the Four Nations, but it's just going to hit different. It did feel kind of sheltered with the Four Nation a little bit. It felt like the Olympics, but personal, right? Like, it was.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like first of all of Canada's watching. All of Canada's watching, and a decent amount of America is, considering it's a hockey game, and Sweden and Finland, but those are the only teams that were there. That's it. The Olympics, freaking everybody's watching, man. It's the Olympics. Like, it just makes it so much grander. Like, the Olympics is one of those things where it has that marketing and it has that name value that you cannot buy, you cannot make. Like, it's just intangible.
Yeah. 100%, right? Like,
it's going to be so massive.
Can't wait for it. It's going to be must watch.
And it'll be very fun to see who makes that team as well. Because obviously you don't want to mess too much for Canada. You don't want to mess too much with a roster that just won in Four Nations, but you can't ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears. You got to try and make the best roster possible for now, not last year. So,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of mock rosters that have Celebrini on there, but I'm not seeing a ton that have Bedard on there, which is interesting.
See, for me, that's, not even just because as a Sharks fan, but that's not interesting to me because it comes down to, you kind of look at Canada and their top six. You could basically already pencil who those guys are going to be in. And then when you kind of look at it of the makeup of like a third and fourth line, Bedard doesn't fit really into that kind of role of there, where Celebrini, the two-way game alone just kind of speaks volumes right there of, if he's going to be a 13th or 14th forward and slides in, it's going to be a guy who's going to slide in probably on the fourth line, and he can play that role just on his two-way game alone. And then the offensive skill on top is just like an added bonus for a fourth liner, because Canada proved it. Like you need those defensive guys still. You can't just roll out all the best top skill offensive players. Like you still need guys that can win those defensive battles, win those face-offs, win those board battles, like, shut down the other team's top lines. Like those guys are important. And so, yeah, that's why I'm not really surprised to see many people being like, Celebrini makes sense over Bedard, because Celebrini's got the makings of someone who can play a fourth line role. As opposed to Bedard, who I think has the more offensive skill, but that doesn't really work playing with guys like potentially Sam Bennett and Tom Wilson on a fourth line type of thing.
Well, do they even bring those guys? Like Sam Bennett scored a huge goal for Canada in that finals game at the Four Nations. He just won the Conn Smythe, but very clearly the least skilled, like just pure skill out of the team last year. And the Olympics, they're not going to allow 3 fights in the first 7 seconds.
I don't think there's no fighting.
Exactly. And there's way less hitting. They're much more strict on the penalties. So is Sam Bennett a guy worth bringing at all? Would you sooner rather just bring a defensive specialist? Bedard, but how much does that matter when you're playing Olympic rules? Maybe it's fine if he gets bodied because he's a small guy and the other team takes a penalty.
That is true. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if they go a very different roster makeup because of the different rule set.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how the rosters shake out for a lot of these teams, because again, like there's just so many players, and to try and make those tough decisions, like it's so tough to even try and predict, which players are on the outs. It's easy to sit there and be like, oh, this is the team and this is who I'd go with, but it's like, what about this guy? What about this guy? Like, why do they not make it? And it's tough.
Yeah.
A lot of good players.
God knows what they're going to do with the goaltending. Like, you get to bring 3 goalies, and, like 2 or 3 of the most likely guys we thought last year, none of them made it. And then Canada still won off the back of great goaltending. So, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do in the net. Like, you could tell me any 7 names out of the top most likely guys, and I would believe any combination. Well, any combination that includes Binnington.
Yeah, he's a lock at this point now. But lots to keep an eye on with that, and obviously we'll have a big episode once those official decisions come out. But moving on to our final topic here of the 2025-2026 SEU season guide is Braden's favorite, the Milestone Watch.
Milestone.
I'll let you just kind of roll through these. These are all the players that are climbing the all-time ranks. They're on the verge of hitting some major milestones, and kind of get you guys excited about all these potential milestones that we could see take place this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are coming up on different all-time rankings, and there's I've got so many names here and numbers, I don't even know where to start. Let's just start with all-time points. They're in points. Sidney Crosby, he's at 1,687. The guy in front of him with 1,723, so about 40-ish points away, maybe a little less. Mario Lemieux, so 35-ish more points, and he'll pass Mario Lemieux. He'll become the 8th himself for all-time points, and he'll also be the guy with the most points all-time on the Pittsburgh Penguins, which it's it's so goofy that Crosby isn't already at that point, but Mario Lemieux was just out of his mind during his heyday. Like, it's been so fun watching Crosby climb up these rankings. And I mean, Ovechkin, he's, only 50, 60 points behind Crosby. He can climb up. He could pass Joe Sakic in about 20 points to become 10th all time in points. He's already first in goals. So there's a lot of guys that are poised to like really solidify themselves in the all-time conversation.
Yeah.
What else do we got here? We got a couple of players trying to reach 1,000 points this season for the first time because, Wayne Gretzky was the fastest to do it both first and second. But Nikita Kucherov is at 994 points. He might hit 1,000 and by his second or third game, frankly. He only needs 6 points. At 980 points, Leon Draisaitl, he only needs 20, so he'll get there pretty early in the season. Draisaitl is at 956. He is 44 out. It is Brad Marchand who is 20 away. So even in a third line role in Florida, I imagine Brad Marchand's probably going to make that. Jamie Benn is also at 956 with Draisaitl. Draisaitl, as long as he's healthy, is pretty much a lock for that. I'm not sure if Jamie Benn's going to get 44 points this season. It's kind of a toss-up to me. He easily could or he easily couldn't at this point. But
yeah,
it would be fun to see him do it only with the Stars as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Those are the guys trying to get to 1,000 points this year. We got a couple of defensemen specifically that are climbing the all-time scoring list. I didn't want to get too into it earlier when talking about guys potentially making the Hall of Fame, but for me, Brent Burns is a lock for the Hall of Fame because he is currently at 12th all-time for points among defensemen. Like, all these names that he's just already above, are bona fide Hall of Famers. Scott Stevens, Brad Park, Erik Karlsson at 15, Gary Sutter, Doug Wilson, Sergei Gonchar, Victor Hedman, Borje Salming, legends of the game. He scores 6 points next season, and he passes Bobby Orr and becomes 11th all time.
Damn.
If he puts up 50 points and then ends his career, he'll be at 960 points, and he will be 9th all time, passing Bobby Orr, Chris Chelios, and Larry Robinson. Those are massive names. At that point, the only guys ahead of him are the only 8 defensemen to ever score 1,000 or more points in the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah. You're I think you're right. Actually, probably a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, 9th all time in defenseman goal scoring as well. If he just scores 10 more goals in his career, he'll pass Lidstrom and Orr and be 7th.
Jeez. Yeah. All right.
Sold. He's got a Norris. He's played. I'm sure I don't have him here, but I'm sure his playoff stats are pretty damn good too because he played so many games. He's just got the counting stats. He's got a Norris. He's a lock for me.
Yeah.
And then he's pretty much like you said, after this year, you expect him to retire. He's at the end of his career. We got a couple of guys who are nearing the end of their career, but still playing pretty damn well. Erik Karlsson is still got some tread left on the tires. He's 15th all time. Hedman's 19th all time, and Chris Letang is 22nd all time in scoring for defensemen. Karlsson has 870 points. Hedman has 794 points. Letang has 772. Each of those guys, basically every 20 points, they're passing another guy, moving up the list. And, Letang probably less so than the other two, but Karlsson and Hedman, they could both end up in the top 12, top 10 where Burns is when they're done as well. So I could definitely see them moving up quite a few spots. A couple other guys that are moving up. They're not quite as high up, but John Carlson, he's 28th all time. Roman Jossi's 29th all time at 725 and 724 points respectively. So Ryan Suter, Drew Doughty, 33 and 34 at 696 and 686. Like there's a lot of these guys that, have just played forever and they've just been racking up these points with their elite play. And it's fun to see these guys because, like, the NHL has been around for a long time, right? But
yeah,
Maurice Richard, potentially one of the most famous goal scorers of all time. Like, I don't know if he finished with like just under or just around 500 career goals, I believe. Like almost half of Gretzky, and Ovechkin. Like he's not really up there at all in all-time goals, but like cuz guys back then just didn't play that long. So for our generation, we look at the all-time lists for goals, points, all that stuff. It's all these guys that played from the 80s and 90s and a couple guys from the 70s. And like now we're actually seeing these guys from our generation get up into that all-time conversation and take their place among the legends. And it's really cool to see. Like it's genuinely so cool to see Brent Burns' name right beside Bobby Orr in the counting stats.
100%, yeah.
He might, if he plays another 2 seasons, he might end up with 1,000 more games played. But hey, they don't ask how, they ask how many.
That's exactly it.
So we've got, what do? We did defenders all-time points. We did players reaching 1,000. We did all-time points for Ovi and Crosby. And then we got players to hit goal milestones as well. We got Stamkos at 582 goals, so 18 more and he'll hit 600 goals. Tavares, Kane, Perry, and Kopitar are all trying to get to 500. Potentially this season for most of them. Tavares only needs 6. Patrick Kane needs 8. Corey Perry needs 52. I don't see that in the cards for him, but I have no idea how long that psycho is going to keep playing.
Yeah, I was going to say, might have a couple more years left in the tank. Never know.
Kopitar he's at 440, so he needs 60 to get to 500. If this truly is his last season, sorry, Kings fans, I don't see him putting up 60 in his final year. It'd be freaking cool, though.
Would be pretty sweet, though. Would be cool if that did happen.
Yeah. Out of him, Malkin and Ovechkin, I think he's the most likely to play another year for me, though. I do believe he's the youngest, and I think the other two have alluded to being done. I think Kopitar, it's kind of a lot of hearsay. I think it's a lot of rumors. I think they have some merit, but
and nothing set in stone.
Yeah. And honestly, like 99% not, but I'm a psycho, so I'm going to put Matthews in there for the 500 category. He's got 401 goals. If he put up 99 goals, I would definitely be shocked, but like if there was a man to freaking do it, if there was ever a player in league history to put up 99 goals in a season, I don't know, not a lot of guys have a shot like him. He'll probably at least hit the 450 mark. I mean, he's probably going to pass a guy like Anze Kopitar this season. And how old is Matthews? What, 27?
Yeah, something like that.
That's goofy. So for him to be passing guys that are Hall of Famers already is insane.
It's pretty nuts.
And then all of these guys are going for 400 goals, which is the last cutoff that we're doing for this. Draisaitl and Jamie Benn, they both need 1 goal. They're both at 399. A Draisaitl might do it. Jamie Benn's going to do it for sure. Pasternak only needs 9 goals. He's at 391. Skinner is at 373. That is Jeff Skinner. So that one's a bit tougher, depending on if he plays the games. But, we've seen him score goals before. Matt Duchene needs about 30. He needs 29, actually. He's at 371. And then Nathan McKinnon is at 367. Giroux is at 365. McDavid's at 361. And Kucherov is at 357. A lot of generational or very good elite playmakers in that category that are just through their incredibly good play are finally getting there in that goal scoring category.
Yeah.
Honestly, for that,
for
that hitting the 400 mark, like Draisaitl makes it, Ben makes it, Pasternak makes it. Skinner and Duchene are kind of toss-ups. I think Duchene probably does, as long as he doesn't fall off too much. Like, he was really good last year. McKinnon probably does it. McDavid and Kucherov, good chance of it. Kucherov has to do 43, so maybe it takes him another year. Giroux probably doesn't put up 35 goals next year, but I bet in 2 years he gets to 400. It's a lot of guys hitting an important milestone. So
yeah, there's a lot of big milestones to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, it's always fun to be watching a game live when a guy hits a big milestone like that. Maybe less so if it's against your favorite team. It's an important goal against you, but yeah, it's still pretty fun.
Kind of like it's cool, yeah, for sure.
As long as it's a guy you can like, if hopefully, Jamie Benn's first goal next year to hit 400 isn't against the Red Wings or something. I don't think they would cheer for him too much.
Yeah, maybe not. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of big storylines, a lot of big things to keep an eye on all season, and hopefully we're able to break them down and give you an insight of what to focus on around the league. And yeah, if you want to be up to date on everything going on around the league and what there is to know and what to look out for, hopefully this helped you. But we are at the end of the episode here. Like we mentioned at the beginning, we are back now 2 episodes a week. We are starting to ramp up into preseason coming up soon here in training camps. And before you know it, we are going to be back into the regular season and back onto just full-on hockey talk every week. There's always going to be news, always going to be things to talk about. I don't want to get fully ahead yet, but I think we've pretty much made our way through the offseason and come out strong on the other side. So once again, hope you all enjoyed. If you want to talk hockey, if you want to let us know what you thought of the episode, or if we missed anything, or just your thoughts to anything we talked about, you can do so through any of our socials. The links to all of our socials, you know where they are. They're in the description across all episodes, across all platforms. Braden, as always, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Go follow us on all the socials. I know you just said it, but keep up to date with us there, because we are planning some good stuff for this upcoming season. We're ready to take our game to the next level. We are looking to hopefully soon, but definitely by the start of the NHL season, we want to have a visual component to our podcast. Hopefully we can get that onto our other platforms, but if nothing else, definitely on the YouTube. We want to get the visual on there. We'll each have a camera on us, so you can see our ugly mugs as we talk about bad hockey stuff. And through that, we're going to be able to make, we're going to be making all kinds of YouTube shorts, TikToks, we're going to be putting videos out there. So, go follow us there. And then when we start putting that out, you can see all of that. We got some really good stuff coming up. So go make sure that you're plugged in so that you can find it when we start putting that out.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of good stuff coming up, and we want you all along for the ride with that. But that is it for this episode. One fun time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you out on the ice later this week.